Guys, have you ever woken up, looked around, and thought, is this really my life? Feeling completely lost, heavy, and disconnected from who you truly are. I know exactly how that feels because I lived there. In my early 20s, I was in pure survival mode, ignoring my most basic human foundations. But today, I want to share the exact mechanism that shifted my reality. We're going to audit your 7 fundamental needs, look at where you might be starving yourself, and show you how fulfilling them will completely transform your life. And hi, if you're new here, I'm Cahir. I'm here to take you one step closer to self love. Now, this comes from directly from the teachings of Bashar. So, aside from the Course in Miracles, I listen to the most to Bashar. If you don't know, he's like a channeled entity, gives lots of good information, but very esoteric stuff. But just look at the information neutrally, hear what I have to say, keep an open mind. So I'm gonna go down the list of the needs. They're from most important. I mean, all of them are important. They're needs, but obviously they have a different hierarchy. So they are air, water, sleep, food, shelter, connection, and self-expression. And in my video here, I'm going to talk about not only it's important to meet the needs, but also the quality. I wish if I could go back in time and tell myself to look at these needs and say, how can we fulfill them? How can we make it better? All right, so let's start with number one here with air. Quite obvious, right? Most of us, if we hold our breath, it could be only for like a minute. Without air, we're gonna die. So I'm basing all this on my mid-20s self, when I would say I was the most depressed, and that was about 25. That's a very important age, I think, in a man's life. And to give context, so my brother and I, first we moved to a place close to the metro. We had to find a place. Maybe one day I could get into this story, but anyway, circumstances made us that we had to find a place very quickly, and it was close to the metro, and it was okay. That was the first time I felt like real financial pressure. But then that place, uh, it was the owners were two parents and their son wanted to move in, and they're like, "Oh, hey, our son is gonna move in an apartment. You guys have to find somewhere else." So we had to find a place, and we lived right smack dab in very close to the city center in Warsaw. It's at Jana Pawła, if anyone's interested in that. And there was a part of me like, yeah, this is what they say. You should be, this is what you should want, right? You're living close to the city center. Was close to the mall. But I gotta tell you guys, air quality was horrible. Now I know most city centers, I think they have some smog. Unfortunately, Poland overall has a problem with smog, especially back in that day. But man, I took it for granted how important it is to have a good air quality, because that smog, of course, the air pollution affects your vibe, man. It affects your will to live. You wake up, it's like all nasty. I remember sometimes people would even wear those like gas masks. Like, holy moly. Really don't underestimate this, guys. So if you have the chance to be in nature, which I fortunately do, and I make sure to go to the forest pretty much every day, that's a game changer. And if you can't, do whatever's in the realms of your possibility. Maybe wear the gas mask, or maybe get a dehumidifier. I don't know, but it's so important. Also, I think the quality of our breathing is really important. As during that time, I would find relief in doing box breathing, which is 5 seconds inhale in, you hold for five, exhale for five. And breath work is very important. I kind of dabble in it, but even just taking like deep hold breaths, some of these like shallow ones that we usually take, that's also, it affects your mood, doesn't it? Now, it might not seem a lot, but all these needs, they add up. All right, need number two is water. Of course, that we can only survive about 3 days without water. And I know it's this running joke in the internet, like, oh, you're depressed? Well, drink some water, bro. But there is a truth to it. Be honest. As I remember during that time, I don't think I had a water bottle with me. And in Poland, it's not so popular to have water like drinking fountains. So if I was thirsty, I would just buy like a water bottle, like a bottle of water, which is not not good for the environment too. But now I always carry with me a giant water bottle with me, no matter where I go. And if I don't go without it, I feel like naked. I feel like I need to have it at all times. And I personally, I don't drink soda or whatever, but I'm just encourage you guys like see how much water you're drinking. Are you drinking enough water? Carry water bottle. It's simple stuff, but it really helps, guys. All right, need number three is sleep, which is actually more important than food. Think about how vital sleep is for our life. And what Bashar says is not so much sleep, like going unconscious, it's more actually REM sleep, dreaming. That's what actually nourishes us. So I didn't know about this, but Michael Jackson, before his death, he wasn't able to sleep at all. He had to get this very powerful drug administered to him to just knock him out. But he wasn't getting REM sleep, and we saw how destructive that was. I remember seeing this documentary. I don't know. There was this family that suffered from insomnia, and they were getting delirious. I mean, I bet all of us know how essential sleep is. But I gotta tell you, in my mid 20s, it was not as much of a priority as it should have been. Not saying I'm perfect, but what helps me now is the lifestyle I've created. That since I'm a freelancer, I get to decide when I work and stuff. So, but before then, I had just a normal teaching job. So, if I had to have a lesson at 8 in the morning, well, gotta wake up to alarm, all that Matrix rat race bullshit. But still, I would go to bed late, scroll before bed, and this is still something from time to time I do. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But when I meditate before I go to sleep or I listen to something positive, I always sleep so much better. And then that affects the rest of my day, right? You have a good night's rest, you had a good dream. And I'm sure we know it, but do we do it? Do we treat sleep as a sacred necessity? Or do we just like, oh, I'm going to go to unconsciousness now? I mean, this is a reminder for me to like, yeah, gotta treat sleep a lot better. Next, we have need number four, which is food, of course. During that time, I remember I would have just a crummy breakfast, something to eat very quickly. It was like some, oatmeal or whatever, right? Or just, or even not even have time to eating breakfast and going for long bouts about it wasn't even intentional, right? Long bouts of not eating. Or what's worse, guys, I would bring a lunch with me, and by the time I would eat it, and there's no microwave or whatever. It was I would have this cold ass nasty lunch, no sauces, and like I said, it's the small things. How was I treating myself if I'm eating a cold meal like every day? And sometimes, if I didn't even prepare a lunch, I would go to a convenience store and buy something processed. And man, that affected me, man. Now I'm a wholly pure whole foods, plant based. Make sure to track my macros, protein, carbs, fats. And of course, I make it a priority that it's nicely heated. Now, a lot of my listeners I see in the statistics are from the States, and I know how hard it can be to eat healthy, but there are, of course, options. Go to the Polish store. As if we feed our system garbage. What do you think? Garbage in, garbage out, man. All right, and now we have number five is shelter. And of course, I'm very grateful that I know there's a lot of people, a lot of my brothers and sisters that don't have shelter or access to good food, or they have some trouble sleeping. All these things I understand, but it's about meeting the needs. But just like in The Sims, even if it's like the meter's halfway, that's not enough, right? I want you and all my brothers and sisters on this planet to have 100%. And I think the environment, the shelter I was in my 20s, I was talking about the air quality. It was also just it was very loud where I lived, and the windows there, I felt like I had no privacy. But also just the space I was in, it was chaotic, messy. Definitely wasn't like a cozy, comfy environment where I have now. And what I'm trying to get across from this video, it's not about changing from 0 to 100. It's like even 1% better. For instance, I bought myself a poster. And it might be something small, right? But I have this Cahir poster. It's like Cahir, officially from CD Projekt Red. He's on the horse. And it's such a small thing. I look at it and it just brings me so much joy every single day when I look at it. And I remember because I bought it based on my gamification system I have about productivity that, easy task, 1 point, medium, whatever. And I saved enough points, I bought it. And every time I look at it, like, oh, I earned that. And it just changed the environment of the room. So it's small stuff like that, guys. And how it comes with cleaning a room, I know Jordan Peterson cliche, but there's truth to it, and I could tell. I feel so much differently when I'm in a clean room as opposed to a chaotic room. So I encourage you guys, clean up your space, but make your space your own. What brings you joy? Mine was the poster. Maybe there's something you can do to enhance where you are. All right, and the final two needs are very, very important as well. So number 6, we have connection. Now, Bashar says it doesn't necessarily have to be like with friends. Of course, that stuff is great as well. But even a connection to the divine, something bigger than ourselves, is super important. As I didn't have either of that. I didn't have nice friends, and I didn't have really a strong connection to the divine. Of course, I always said I was always a very spiritual person since I was 14. But back then, I didn't do the Course in Miracles exercises. I would sporadically meditate, didn't journal. I spent a lot of my time being distracted, watching YouTube videos, playing games in a negative way as to distract from my inner state instead of dealing with it. Now, thankfully, I have a group of very wonderful people around me, and I have a very strong connection to the divine. I meditate, I go on walks, I communicate with the higher self to the best of my ability. And that changes a lot, man. I remember that feeling of isolation where I would chronically abandon myself, berate myself, and feeling so alone. If I were to go back in time, I would actually tell myself to first connect with myself, connect with my higher self, to feel some connection to the divine, and then look out for people, because I think at that time I was trying, I was doing like expat meetings and all that stuff, but I wasn't fulfilling the core need, that feeling connected, feeling seen, feeling heard. All right, and the last one here is self expression. A lot of us, I think, we're maybe creative as kids, and then that creativity is beat out of us, and you're like, oh, creativity is for just some people. But I would say no, we're all born creative in our own way, and we're born with this unique expression that we want to show to the world. And back then, guys, mid 20s, had no self expression. I would dabble. I think I did like theater, but it wasn't I wasn't expressing my unique self. Just me reading a script. I tried this YouTube channel before, but I wasn't consistent because of my negative inner critic. But now I have a lot of outlets. One is this YouTube channel, then is Mixed Nuts, my improv group, which improv by itself has changed my life tremendously. And that's where a lot of my creativity goes to. And I feel that's where I'm expressing my true, authentic self. And just being able to feel that and understand, oh, this is this is not survival Cahir. This is the true Cahir, the authentic self that wants to express himself all the time. Just even knowing that exists and feeling it and expressing it, game changer, guys. So I would encourage you, whatever creative pursuit that you want to try out, not try, experiment. Bashar says there is no try, right? There is no try, but I think it's okay to experiment. Experimenting means I'm going to see if this works. If not, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to change. But even taking one step in the direction of how can I express myself, how can I express my creativity, gets the ball rolling. I can't imagine where my life would be without improv, honestly. All right, guys, that was the 7 needs. I hope you guys found that video helpful and you can audit yourself, see where you're lacking, what you can do to improve. Remember, hold yourself with grace, be gentle with yourself. Don't berate yourself. Be like, oh, I should have been doing this. Doesn't matter. Be like, oh, I have this need. How am I going to meet it today? And of course, please subscribe for more healing content like this. May the Holy Spirit light up your path wherever it takes you. Take care.